It was early in the morning. I felt something in my room, something brushed my arm, and when I looked over to the side of the bed, I noticed it was a person's head, and that's when I said, "Who is that? Who's there?" And he immediately sprang up on the bed and straddled my body and put a knife to my throat and told me to shut up or he was going to kill me. Over the next 20 minutes during the assault, as he raped me, I made two decisions. One is if there was a way I could live, I would figure it out. And if I lived, I wanted to memorize everything about this person. So I began to pay really close attention to details about his face and his eyes and his voice and his hair and how much he weighed, the clothing he was wearing.
She was able to provide a detailed description not only in terms of his physical appearance, but also what he wore at the time of the assault. It was clear to me that she had an ample opportunity to see him. Coupled with her determination and presence of mind, I was convinced without a doubt that she could identify her assailant. We received an anonymous tip that Ronald Cotton not only fit the composite in terms of appearance, but the general description of the assailant. We had his photo on file, and we felt like he could be a good suspect in this particular case and thought that we should do a photographic lineup.
Within 2 days, I was asked to come down and look at a photo array. The officer said, "We're going to show you 6 photographs. Don't feel compelled to choose any one. The suspect may or may not be in there. When you're in a police department and there's a photo lineup, there's this sense that one of these has got to be their suspect, and it's my job to find him." I began to narrow it down. I could very quickly discount 4 of them, narrowing it down to 2 photographs.
According to the records, Jennifer examined the 2 photographs for 4 to 5 minutes. Research shows that memory is highly malleable and that an eyewitness who is uncertain can become much more certain over time.
I noticed that she did focus on photograph number 4 for a bit, then moved over to Ronald Cotton's photograph, which I think was number 6, before picking it up and saying that this was the man who raped me.
And I wanted to be very confident and very sure, so I took my time. And that's when I held up the picture of Ronald Cotton and said, "This is the man who did this." They said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "I'm positive." And they looked at me and said, "We thought that was the guy."
Since the officers present knew that Ronald Cotton was the suspect in this case, it's possible that they unconsciously provided information to Jennifer Thompson. And we do know that Jennifer Thompson's confidence was influenced by the positive feedback that she did receive after making her identification. In laboratory studies, researchers compare groups of participants who receive feedback to individuals who did not receive that kind of information in a control group. And what we know is that people who receive feedback, their confidence skyrockets, just like it did for Jennifer Thompson after her identification in this case.
And there was this huge relief that washed over me because I had gotten it right.
On August 8th, 11 days after the assault, Jennifer Thompson was brought in to view a physical lineup consisting of 7 men. Ronald Cotton was the only lineup participant whose picture had been present in the photo array that Jennifer Thompson saw. And repeating only one individual in multiple procedures increases witness confidence even when that witness is wrong.
And as we walked out of the room, I remember looking at the officer saying, "How did I do? Did I do okay?" And one of the officers said, "You did great. That was the guy you picked out in the photo lineup."
By the time she testified in court and identified Ronald Cotton as her assailant, she was 100% certain. Ronald Cotton's conviction was based primarily on the eyewitness identification evidence of Jennifer Thompson. But we know that Ronald Cotton was completely innocent of this crime. He was exonerated based on DNA evidence in June 1995. At the same time, it was learned that another man who was in prison for very similar crime was actually the person who raped Jennifer Thompson.
I can remember thinking to myself, if that's wrong, if Bobby Poole raped me and it wasn't Ronald Cotton, then maybe everything I thought was true is not true.
Well, she just made an honest mistake. I was lucky that there was DNA evidence.